you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, start offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's new.
Good timing, buddy. That was beautifully done. See you, pal. See you in the morning. What is going on, Dub Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Oh, boy. My name is Matthew Spear. I'm the host of Don't Unfriend Me. It's good to have everybody here. It's good to see you. I hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully, I'm coming in 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. Let me get my stream deck going on here and see if this works. There it is. Matthew Spear, host. Chav, you should probably head on over to the damage report. Go enjoy that. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what the damage report is. Folks, if you want to call in, now is the time. 1-804-504-1955. Do me a favor. Stop by the Don't Unfriend Me store. Pick yourself up a Let's Go Brandon shirt. I've got a new one I'm working on. I think everyone will like it. You guys got to tell me what you think. I'll let you take a peek. I'll let you take a peek. Why? Well, because I'm a good guy. I don't know if that's true. Got some funny stories to share. We're going to talk about the border. We're going to talk about Joe, I take documents home and it's okay, Biden. Yeah, a few other things. I want to talk about solitary confinement. Is it cruel and unusual punishment? It's an interesting question. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean, not that I hopefully will ever take part in that, but I still, question comes to mind. Here's the new Come and Take It shirt. And yes, it is in honor of Schoolhouse Rock. Knowledge is firepower. Come and take it. It's got some conjunction junction. What's your function going on there? I'm just a bill. Yeah, a little Schoolhouse Rock Come and Take It shirt. I figured that would look cool on a hoodie, on a t-shirt. Would like to get your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Is that something you would wear? I think you should. I think it's pretty classic. It's a nod back to our past. Let me know what you think of the new shirt. It should be available tomorrow if I can get to it. I hope I can. We'll see. If you haven't called into the show before, now's the time. I'm in a great mood. So to be transparent with everybody, I started my fatherhood class today. And I don't have to. I gave my word that I would go. And even though all things were kind of dropped, I figured I would still be an honorable man and go. And I'll be honest, I told them, I said, well, I really don't want to share the camera and I don't want to go live because I'm wearing my Let's Go Brandon shirt. American flags everywhere, guns everywhere, tattoos. And they're going to sit here and talk about, alpha males and, why our fathers were horrible and why all fathers are, the patriarch is as I play with a knife and have a gun and, come on. Why, alpha males are the dregs of society. And although they're not doing that, I want to be very fair. It is a little, it kind of went that way a little bit as they're comparing the fathers of yesteryear and the fathers to today. And tell me about your father from, uncaring, discipline, abuse, doesn't smile. And I'm just like, is there anything positive from the fathers of yesteryear? I wanted to be like, well, alpha, command presence, courage. I felt protected and defended. I felt loved in my own way. So I didn't go on camera for the first half of it. And then we went on break and she came back. She's like, well, I'd like to have you on camera. I said, okay. I tried to say to him, I said, listen, I'm not on camera because I'm not, trying to be a nice guy. I would like to try to have some anonymity here, because this is a small town and it's fairly popular. And I didn't want to set anyone off and nobody seemed to act that way. But, I came on and I was like, well, of course I've got to say something because I think there's merit in this class. And I think there's people who obviously are there, most of them, because they're voluntarily there. And I think I'm the only one who was court appointed to, CPS appointed to go and take part. And they asked me, do you want to take part in this? And I said, sure. Why not? I'm always willing to do. And I'm going to go through the motions and I'm going to do it and I'm going to listen and I'm going to stay engaged. But I did feel the need to say, it wasn't all doom and gloom. Not all of our parents were Adolf Hitler. My dad had his inequities. He had his shortcomings, but overall he did a pretty good job of helping. Ross, I had to do that class because I was arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor because my son got a spanking. Yeah. All charges were thrown away and thrown out. CPS backpedaled faster than Joe Biden walking and falling upstairs. It was all a drama-filled event. And I did a show on it the other night, told everybody about it. And I'm not going to speak ill of anybody. People have to make sure that parents are doing their job, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But, man, I'll tell you what. There is definitely a fine line between discipline and abuse. And that was my point in this class. So most of the people there are expecting fathers, are taking the class for multiple times. And, I'll take part, but I'm going to give them my opinion. And when I disagree, I'm going to disagree. And this one, person was fantastically sharing his life story. And I thought it was very emotional and very honest. And it was great to hear. And I just disagreed with making a list of, fathers of yesterday and fathers today. What's the difference? And I'm like, nothing. We're trying to figure it out. There is no playbook. It's hard. It's difficult. The dichotomy of marriage is complex. The dichotomy of fatherhood is also ever changing and metamorphosizing into something different than it was yesterday at a moment's notice. You throw in hormones, you throw in boys, you throw in reproductive systems, you throw in drugs and alcohol and sex and, whatever, intravenous drug use with no contraception, whatever it is. It's constantly ever changing and there is no book or there is no guide. So the fathers of yesteryear are having to figure out at the same pace that we're trying to figure things out. And every time we think we have a step ahead, it changes. The patriarch and matriarch, it's a much needed complex relationship that I feel is not being properly invested in. There's this whole thing of, well, I want to work and well, who's going to stay with the kids? Daycare. Well, that's not necessarily the best thing, but either is have mom stay home while dad goes to work and mom does all the cooking and cleaning and everything else. I mean, it's a balance. And if you're trying to make equity out of parenting, good frickin' luck. It's not going to happen. There's no such thing as equity in parenting. Some days you pull your weight more than others, and that's the way it is. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But what I do know is that Joe Biden is being a knucklehead. Listen, folks, 1-804-504-1955. I know it's Tuesday night. I know people didn't expect me to come on, but I figured I would come on and say hello and at least talk to y'all, see how everybody's doing, what's new. No, Ross, don't pry. Well, Ross, I think I would make an impact, and hopefully, she was very complimentary and said that's a good point. And of course, I was the only one that kind of stood up for fathers of yesteryear because, like I said, my dad wasn't the most loving human being and failed magnificently in several things, but he also did quite a few things well. So, I think there's value in all of it, and then there's things to learn from all of it. I want to talk about the border. And we talked about it a little last night, but I want to do it again. And I noticed something as I was watching the news this morning. I'm tired, folks. I'm sorry. So as I was watching the news this morning, I saw something that, I don't know, kind of bothered me. I think it was Marsha Blackburn, right? Senator? Is that her name? Anybody help me? By the way, hello, Rumble. Got people watching all over Rumble, but nobody's talking. I'm actually in Rumble. You yelled at me last night. I've said, okay, I'm here. What's up, Rumble? Hello, I'm here. You guys can talk to me. And I'm going to try not to ignore you. Remember, if I don't look, it's because it's out of habit. So please make sure you yell at me in Facebook to check Rumble once in a while. Marsha Blackburn went down to see the border with a slew of legislators that were all female. It was very much like the last Avengers movie. I don't know if you remember this, but this is the world battle where the Thanos clique was undone by Tony. And how do you call in on the computer thing? Folks, there's links that are popping up in chat all the time that have the URL to click in by video, and you can also call the phone number 1-804-504-1955. Okay, so Tony gets Thanos' glove, and Snappy undoes all the bad that happened, undoes, whatever. He negates all the half of the planet and half of the universe that died, and then of course all of a sudden you hear a squawk over the box. Cap, can you hear me? And the portals open up, and the Doctor Strange mystical goo is energized and spun in a woven web of teleportation, and then all of a sudden everybody's there and vehicles are there and all the Avengers stand for a freaking glamour shot and they all pose, and get their photo taken in the camera, and Thanos is like, shit, right? And then the battle ensues, and they've got to basically take this little nebulizer thing. I don't even remember what it was. The briefcase, I don't get the football, whatever, and take it to the minivan. And I don't even remember how stupid this was. And then, they got to go ahead and hit the button and whatever. Okay. The guy's journey, what guys try to do for the rest of their entire lives and fail horribly, like Biden falling upstairs, try to find the button. And then they're like, hey, in the middle of a battle where people are dying and getting, destroyed, and all the day players, the B-side actors who are all CGI are getting destroyed and blown up. And of course, all the superheroes are just fine. And they go, well, let's give it to Captain Marvel with her new freaking I'm a liberated woman haircut, which she looked fine with flowing hair. Then all of a sudden they had to give her this freaking Hillary Clinton 1990s haircut, which whatever, what are you gonna do?
Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy.
That's correct.
Would you rather your child had feminism or cancer?
That's correct, Hillary. Thank you for chiming in. So you got the Hillary Rodham, I got hot sauce haircut. And, all of a sudden, all the women formed together. And it's minus all the people who are dying while they do this glamour shots photo op. They're like, excuse me, hey, Black Widow, can you get over here? You get over here? Thanks. Black Widow was dead. Spider-Woman. Oh, no, you haven't been entered. That's Secret Wars. Holy shit. Storm. Storm. No, that's no. No X-Men. Whatever women were there. Come on. Girl from Guardians who has the squiggly, ears and big eyes. You get over here. Captain Marvel, come on over here. Scarlet Witch, yeah, you get over here. And then they all go, and of course Spider-Man's down, right? Spider-Man can lift a half of a skyscraper, can help lift with the Hulk and Thor, in Secret Wars, a mountain. But Spider-Man gets rocked. Okay, whatever. First of all, Spider-Man was a wimp in the Avengers, dude. Spider-Man is badass, okay? Enough. But whatever. And of course, Spidey goes down, and then a couple other guys try it, and Star-Lord goes down, and you're like, okay. Why don't you just give it to Captain Marvel, who just flew through a giant Leviathan thing the size of like 4 aircraft carriers, or the helicarrier in the Marvel series, and flies through it, kills it, but she can't make it 100 yards to a frickin' minivan. Okay, fine. So all the girls get together and they're like, who's going to help Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel's like Superman. She doesn't need any help. She needs none. How are you going to help her? Are you going to cheer her on? Captain Marvel, pick it up, run it up, way up, pick it up, run it up. Oh, it's already over? Fuck. She flew there at the speed of light? Oh, nope, it's over. She's already there. We've got this. Oh, come on. The girl from Wakanda's there. We got this. And then they all pose. We got this. Come on. So I had to watch that. And I'm sitting here, I'm going, come on, Disney. Really? Why does it have to? That's sexist in itself, okay? It's sexist in itself, but whatever. Fine. So it kind of felt like that. Like we were just kind of pushing it along to say the patriarch is bad, the patriarch is dead, the matriarch, the more sensitive beta male is here. Listen, I am never going to be a beta male. I tell my kids the truth. I love them to death. I hug them. I kiss them every single day. I provide for them. I protect them. If they wind up hating me because I'm hard, then that's fine, because I can't always be soft. I can't always be the loving, nurturing beta male. You've got to have a little bit of bark with your bite. That's the way it works. And you don't bite as often as you can, and you maybe just bark a lot. But either way, you got to be the dad. And there's a fine line. So I'm going to go through this whole rigmarole. I don't care what the Bible says. The Bible also condones slavery. The Bible also condones if you touch the skin of an undead thing, that you can be killed. If you plant crops side by side of not the same kind, you can be stoned to death. That you can sell your daughter to the highest bidder. Come on, dude. The Bible says a lot of things. Oh, the wife in the Bible is to serve, honor, and obey. I don't give a crap what it says. You go tell that to my wife, and you'll wake up with no nuts the next morning. She will Lorena Bobbitt your ass. We've had this conversation before, I somehow feel. If you are going to tell me that the Bible, which was interpreted by man, isn't wrong in some things, well, then you and I will never agree. Isaac says, do you have your Bluetooth on earbud or your earphone plugged in? Just saying, it happened to me. Took an hour to figure it out. Well, that's the thing. Folks, if you don't have any sound, it's not me, because everyone else can hear you. Something else is going on. Hey, Deb, over on Rumble. Good to see you. See, 21 people watching now. See, I'm over on Rumble. I got yelled at last night. I'm here. Listen, if you believe that your wife should honor and obey you, good luck with that. Let me know how it works out. Let me know how it works out. Yeah, my wife and I didn't put obey. Why? She's not going to listen anyway. Who cares? Hey, caller, where are you from? What's your name?
Obey. How you doing?
I'm good. What's your name and where are you from?
My name's Chris Morris. I'm from Arnold, California.
Awesome, Chris. How's California? What part are you from? I'm not familiar where that's at.
I'm in the Sierra Mountains, near the border of Nevada. I'm
you're in the high
town on the
Sierras.
way over, out to Tahoe. It's still in California, but barely.
Yeah, you're in the high Sierras. I grew up on Mono Lake and Bishop.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I used to do a lot of fishing there. It was a great place.
For, since the COVID crap hit.
Yeah.
And it's been like 3 years. I mean,
it's been close to that. Hey, real quick, what was your first name again so I get you written down correctly?
It's Chris with a K.
Okay, Chris. Oh, Chris, I've seen you in here plenty of times. All right, Chris, what do you want to talk about, buddy?
I don't know. You guys just talking about pretty much anything, so I figured it's the best time to call in because I don't have to really pay attention much.
Well,
but, no.
Go ahead.
I had a rough day and and I've never called in, and I turned my computer off so I can't see you.
Oh well, that's okay. You should be able to see me on your phone. If it doesn't matter. What made it a rough day, man? What happened today? That wasn't the best.
Well, it was divorce court that started 6 years ago, and today was supposed to be a big day, and it's snowing here, and my attorney, got the jitters, got sick. I don't know. She used an excuse and whatever, but I just had a rough day, and I didn't know how to call, and I was gonna try to do it on the computer machine, but I don't know how to do that.
Well, you can do it. You just have to close Facebook. Otherwise, we get an echo. First of all, man, I'm sorry to hear about that. I know it's been 6 years, but divorce is messy, man. I think my wife and I have been on that road where we've probably wanted to split. But in the end, we're like, this is just too much work. We've been in this too long. Starting over is impossible. But for some people, it's needed, man. And I hope that you can find that level of happiness once this is all solved and done, and that the days get better, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. My situation was crazy. I had to get out. It was abuse, not on my part, but hers. Anyways, I'm trying to turn my computer back on.
Yeah. So I got a question for you. So, are you familiar with Bishop at all? Have you spent some time in Bishop?
Yeah, I know the name. It's close by. No, I grew up in Yuba City, Marysville, by Chico.
I know it.
So
my friend Glenn is from the High Sierras area, and we have that in common. I didn't live there. I went summers there, but my grandparents, who were immigrants from Germany, owned a candy shop in downtown Bishop, and it was like one of the most premier candy shop, candy apples and taffy, and I mean it was a Willy Wonka's haven. And I remember visiting it when I was younger, and I just didn't know if it was still there. I'm sure Glenn could tell me, but I figured I would ask you. So.
Bishop's out of my jurisdiction right now, but but I just wanted to say I really appreciate your show. It's helped me a lot. I have a son who died in Afghanistan in 2010, and then me and my wife got split up, and things been kind of heavy. So
what did your son do in Afghanistan? Was he Army?
He was Marines. He was in the Helmand province of Afghanistan. He died on June 10th, 2010. His name was Gavin Brumman. He was a good boy.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry, man.
Got killed by an IED.
Yeah, that's what took a lot of them out, I'm sorry, man. Being a Gold Star parent is it's tough, and I know that's got to be hard on you and your wife. So as a veteran myself, and I know a lot of Gold Star parents, man, God bless you, and I'm sorry you guys had to go through that. That's a tough bid.
I just got all welled up because I don't talk about it because I'm alone right now, and I'm sorry. But,
Don't you dare be sorry. Hey, knock that shit off. I just want to make sure you're in a good space and okay. I mean, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. I don't want to put you in a bad spot. You've been a bad day, and I don't want to make it worse.
No, it's all good. You guys helped me a lot. Just seeing your show really helps me a bunch.
Well, good, Chris. I'm glad it does. Well, listen, I'll tell you what all veterans would tell you if they could, is that they knew what they were getting into. They were with their brothers. Whether they agreed with why they were there or not, they do agree with at least protecting the people who are around them, and especially in the Marine Corps, man. I'm terribly sorry that you have to go through that, man. It's going to get better. Remember, it's darkest before dawn. That's why you got to look at it.
No, it's really cool. After he passed, actually, everybody that knew him when he was in Iraq and in Afghanistan, we had a party at my house, and the doc that was actually there when he was killed came to my house, and all of his other brothers came and stayed with me for a whole week.
Oh man,
it was awesome. Really cool, and it was the best thing I've ever seen. You know,
the brotherhood is strong, brothers, man.
How they stick together.
Yeah, the brotherhood is strong, and you know, there's fights and there's arguments, and I had an argument today and last night with somebody who is a brother in arms, and we are, you know, hard on each other and tough on each other, but in the end, we're still brothers, and it's just a tie that can never be undone, and it's an amazing thing, man, being a part of that brotherhood. And some are tighter than others, and some units are stronger than others, but overall, it's an amazing thing, especially with Marine Corps. I mean, you get through that, and you go through Crucible, and you're a part of it forever. You're always a Marine. So he knew that.
Yeah. No, he loved being a soldier, and he knew, and he was okay with passing. I know. I talked to him, and he was a badass. You know, he was a lead guy that day. He carried the saw, and he was the only one that would carry it because he was the toughest son of a bitch in there.
Usually the biggest carry it.
And he was on maneuvers, the trail they walked every day, and the IED got him with a remote wire being up in the bushes. And then they dropped a bomb on that guy. They did get him. You know, not that it made it any better, but they identified, the guy who actually did it.
They hit him with it ISR and a drone?
His doc that was there when he got blown up was at my house, and we spoke of the whole situation. So it's really crazy, you know?
Yeah. So when they got the trigger man, they hit him with a drone or what?
Yeah, they hit him with a drone, and I don't know if I should say what happened.
No, but, I mean, it's pretty clear. Listen, go ahead.
He was still alive when they found him.
Oh, Lord.
But he didn't make it.
Well, ISR is up there for a reason, and it's got its good and it's got its bad. If you want to go see something that will absolutely blow you away, Chris, when you're in a good place and you just want to see heroism, there is a video of JSOC in Afghanistan that takes on 2 machine gun nests. And I'm gonna get you the name. I watched this today, man. It was chilling. Let me find the person who is involved. And I would love for you to watch this because it was incredible. Sorry, man. It's taken a second because there's so many. Anyway, guy won 2 Medal of Honors, and he was deployed with some SEALs and some Force Recon Marines, and he was Air Force. And I just can't remember his name. I'm trying to find it for you. Yeah, John Chapman, I think is what. Yep, John Chapman. And this video is ISR is obviously above, and it's using FLIR, and so it's black and white, and you see the thermal images, and this guy literally saves his team multiple times. They thought he was incapacitated. They thought he was dead. So they retreated and pulled back, getting they had an untenable position, left him up there. He comes to again after taking a mortal wound and then a secondary wound. And he engages and still fights. And, you know, it really puts away anything you want to say about the Air Force. And this guy was just amazing. And it's all on video. And although troubling, it's just heroic and amazing. And if you haven't seen it, when you just kind of get to a good place, I to me and people and friends that I've lost, it makes me feel and remember the mission and remember why it's important. And it helps me kind of get through. And maybe that's something you can watch that might help you. But his name's John Chapman. It's called The Boulder, and it's pretty heroic and pretty incredible, FYI. So just thought of that.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I've seen the autopsy report and everything from him. He had no chance of making it in the field when it happened. Yeah. But it was bad.
Yeah, IEDs, they're horrible, and they're cowardly, and the level of destruction, not just in Afghanistan, but pretty much anywhere that they're deployed is terrible. And the thing is that when people think of an IED, they're thinking of something grenade or a landmine. No, these are IEDs that would take out a half of a city block. You just can't. You can't fight that. And it's terrible when you look at, some of the fights when going after ISIS, Caliphate, Mosul, and look at some of those fights that took place. And the IEDs that would go off, it was just horrible. But Chris, I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate you calling in, man. What's the good word? Anything on the news wire that you want to chat about tonight that's driving you crazy? Biden top secret documents.
You guys are just out talking all crazy on everything else. So I follow everything, but nothing crazy to talk about. Shit, I'm getting snowed on right now. I got 5-6 inches of snow sitting here in California. Most people don't think of California having snow, but
it does in the high Sierras.
I'm just a hillbilly.
Well, I appreciate you, brother, and I thank you for watching. And anytime you want to call in and chat, please do that. And we'd love to talk to you anytime. Got me?
All right. Got you. Out.
All right, Chris. Thanks, brother. God bless you, man. Hang in there, man. It gets better. You know that. It's days are down and then they're up. You're going to be fine. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
All right. God bless, my friend. Talk to you soon.
God bless.
Yes, you. All right, Chris. So I'm going to show the video because I watched this morning and I saw this. I don't know. Probably, I don't know. Quite a long time ago, a couple years at least. And when this was declassed, I mean, you're going to see ISR. And, they have multiple camera angles on this, but there's really not much for me to say. I want you guys to watch it. And this is, what we do on this show. Occasionally we see things and watch things that are a little bit different. I want to give credit where credit's due. This is from the Dan Schilling books and the first Medal of Honor ever recorded. And you guys can watch this yourself. But we'll watch it together because I think it's important enough. It definitely is bone chilling, and I'll tell you, if you haven't seen it, I almost guarantee you will have a newfound respect. Although you probably already have a ton, but you will have a newfound respect for service and what it means. So let's go ahead and watch this. 1 second. Hold on. Waiting for my sound to kick in. Come on, computer. Don't do this. Come on, Restream. Don't do this. Okay, let me close this. Hold on. All right, here we go.
Chapman, a U.S. Air Force combat controller, and the SEALs are attempting to rescue their lost teammate. You'll watch Chapman's heroic actions as he saves the lives of his entire SEAL team and then another 18 members of a quick reaction force, earning America's highest award, the Medal of Honor.
Twice.
Chapman and the SEALs exfil their MH-47 helicopter. John is the second individual to exit and immediately moves in the direction of the summit. He can be seen moving off to the right of the screen, alone. The team is taking heavy fire from every direction, as indicated by the arrows, as Chapman begins engaging targets. You can see spent cartridges ejecting from his M4. Chapman then begins closing with the enemy, forcing his way upslope in knee and thigh-deep snow. He is constantly under fire as he does this. Chapman's team leader begins to close on Chapman, following his trail through the snow.
Now, I don't think you can possibly understand, because when you're looking at that, it looks like flat terrain. But I want you to see the trees. As the trees, especially this one right here, is like this. Almost like this. And essentially, this is the mountaintop. And the drone is here. So you're not looking at it from this way, you're looking at it from the side. So if you can imagine that rotates, I don't know, 90 to 80 degrees to the left, you would then have a sheer mountain face that they're traversing in the snow, being fired on from above. Do you understand? Yeah, this is incredible.
The dark mass above Chapman is a fortified bunker containing 2 enemy fighters, each armed with AK-47s, who are firing down on the team in the darkness. This bunker will come to be known as Bunker Number 1. To the left of the tree and Bunker 1 is another gray mass. This is a rock outcropping that came to be called the Boulder. Between Bunker 1 and this boulder can be seen the body of slain SEAL Neil Roberts, the man Chapman and the others are attempting to recover. Chapman, still alone and closest to the enemy, pauses to engage targets as his team leader follows him, but never actually catches up with him.
Now, to understand from an imagery standpoint, that drone is probably 6,000, 5,000 feet up, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower. Certainly not reachable by RPG. A low enough profile where it would be fine. It's a Predator drone, mind you. Could be a little higher. But the gap between those two guys right there, if you see the trails, and those would be footprints side by side, the maximum depth of those are probably 6 to 8 inches. Does that make sense to everybody? And I'm talking about from here to here, these trails. Very seldom are you going to see carts or whatever. These trails can be animal trails, but more than likely, these are trails just from footfall in the snow from these guys coming and moving on patrol and moving logistically things in and out. So this is a very narrow trail. But if you go ahead and look and say that this is possibly a foot wide, then you can count from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're probably looking at 10 to 15 feet away between these two guys, maybe closer to 15 to 20 between these two away, which shows you just how close contact this was and with who they were engaging. I mean, you're talking about a fight that was more than likely 75 to 100 feet away of enemy to good guys. And that is an extremely intimate and close battle And these guys are fortified. So it also shows you that it's not like the movies where a firefight lasts a few seconds. Firefights last sometimes very quickly, but can last hours. In the case of Lone Survivor, and you look at some of the other engagements like this one, it was not a very fast engagement.
Chapman, on his own, now makes the decision to charge directly into the enemy bunker, despite withering point-blank fire. Chapman, now literally on top of the enemy, engages the two combatants and kills them, saving the lives of the remaining SEALs. He does this from a distance of no more than 10 feet. These actions, by themselves, earned him his first Medal of Honor. He then climbs into and takes control of the bunker. Having cleared the immediate threat, Chapman is then joined by his team leader in Bunker 1. You can then see Chapman and his team leader engaging the next bunker, known as Bunker 2, which is situated to the left edge of the screen. This bunker, manned by a handful of Chechen and Uzbek fighters, also contains a heavy PKM machine gun, hand grenades, and rocket-propelled grenades. John Chapman is shot twice at this time in the torso and collapses, incapacitated. You are now looking at a new angle, and at the left of the screen can be seen the two-man fire team and team leader on top of the boulder. Just below it is Bunker 1 with the mortally wounded Chapman. One SEAL can be seen firing his modified M60 machine gun from the hip into Bunker 2 on the right side of the screen until he is struck by grenade shrapnel and tumbles 10 feet off the top of the boulder, collapsing at the feet of his team leader, thus setting off a chain of events that would lead to the SEALs abandoning Chapman on the summit. The wounded SEAL and the team leader can be seen conferring about his injuries. Moments later, the SEALs decide to retreat from the summit because their position is untenable in the face of continued massive enemy firepower. They can be seen moving toward the right side of the screen and passing the body of Neil Roberts. Unfortunately, the SEALs do not pass John Chapman, who is above them and inside Bunker 1. This angle shows 3 SEALs in a triangle. The larger black heat signature is a smoke grenade. Just to its left is a donkey and dead Al-Qaeda fighter killed by Chapman. The steepness of the mountain can be seen as the SEALs begin to slide down the near sheer face. The team leader, desperate for relief and now with 2 wounded teammates, asks for uncontrolled airstrikes from an orbiting Air Force AC-130 gunship. The impacts you see are from 105mm howitzer rounds being fired onto the ridgetop in order to save the remaining SEALs. Because neither the SEALs nor gunship know Chapman is alive, he is experiencing these detonations from his position. At approximately 5:20 in the morning,
I told them, hey mom, I spent 8 years on this degree, but I hate it and I really want to change jobs. I'm sorry, I know this sounds crazy.
Chapman recovers and begins to engage the enemy. Bunker 1 is on the right side center of the ship. No, Chapman is alive. He is experiencing these detonations from his position. The team leader, desperate for relief and now with 2 wounded teammates, asks for uncontrolled airstrikes from an orbiting Air Force AC-130 gunship. The impacts you see are from 105mm howitzer rounds being fired onto the ridgetop in order to save the remaining SEALs. Because neither the SEALs nor gunship know Chapman is alive, he is experiencing these detonations from his position. At approximately 5:20 in the morning, Chapman recovers and begins to engage the enemy. Bunker 1 is on the right side center of the screen and Bunker 2 to the left near the screen center. It will never be known what caused his incapacitation and recovery. Of the 2 rounds that originally wounded him, at least 1 was mortal, and at this time he is experiencing severe blood loss and shock. Despite that, he begins his one-man stand against 24 enemy combatants. During this time, Chapman initiates a series of radio calls, many of which are heard by a fellow combat controller and teammate of his and Delta Force operators on a nearby summit. Despite this combat controller's replies, Chapman never acknowledges whether because of damage to his equipment or himself will never be known. This new angle and footage shows Chapman at the top, identified by the green dot under the tree at Bunker 1. The lower center of the screen shows the first enemy fighter who is about to charge Chapman in the hopes of killing the American. The timestamp at the bottom shows it is now 6:05 in the morning and fully light. He's been fighting alone now for 40 plus minutes and has received more gunshot and shrapnel wounds as a result of the fierce combat. This scene shows the second of several enemy charges. In this stunning display of determination and courage, Chapman can be seen fighting hand to hand with the fighter. In the larger screen display can be seen additional enemy moving on to the summit. But right now, John Chapman is fighting for his life. 6 minutes later, in this new shot, Chapman can hear another helicopter approaching the summit. He is in the bottom center of the screen underneath the tree and can be seen in the magnified inset box as he begins his desperate final stand to save the lives of the 18 men on the helicopter. The red dots are enemy fighters. John begins engaging the enemy in multiple directions and is rapidly approaching the last of his ammunition. The helicopter contains a quick reaction force comprised of Rangers, pararescuemen, and another combat controller. It is now 6:13 and the helicopter is short final. The enemy is desperately trying to displace Chapman so they can put heavy weapons or rocket-propelled grenades in Bunker 1 while simultaneously engaging the helicopter.
So short final means final approach, descent, landing. QRF is a quick ready force, which is designed of a backup force in case anything goes wrong or people are taken out or recovery mission or they need support, just so everyone understands what's going on. And the fact that most QRFs to get spun up can take 20 minutes, can take even longer depending upon where they're at. And if they were not en route to begin with, that 20 minutes is a lifetime. He has to be low on ammo. He's in an unattainable position. He's mortally wounded. It's incredible what took place here. Absolutely incredible. There's no way to describe it. There's no way to even consider it, unless you've done something even a modicum of close to what this is, and it's incredible.
With the choice to save his life or the lives of his unknown comrades, Chapman makes the decision to climb out of the bunker and begin firing in multiple directions as can be seen in the inset. Suffering from as many as a dozen wounds, Chapman is in fact already in the process of dying. As he fights, the helicopter is struck by a rocket-propelled grenade and makes a remarkable controlled crash just below Chapman and the summit. Chapman, now off-screen, continues to cover his comrades as they pour out of the stricken helicopter. Some of them are fatally shot as they exit. These images, with Chapman fighting the enemy at close quarter, are the last to show him alive and in this heroic act, thus qualifying for his second Medal of Honor. Ultimately, Chapman would expend all but the last few rounds of his ammunition, until, finally, after 16 bullet and shrapnel wounds, Chapman succumbs when he is shot through the heart. We will never know his final thoughts or words, but what we do know is his decisions and actions single-handedly saved the lives of 23 comrades. For more information about John Chapman's amazing story and the details about this mission, visit danschillingbooks.com or your favorite book retailer to obtain a...
If you haven't had a chance to read that book, can I just tell you to stop and go read it? It's, Lone Survivor is an amazing literary work in its own right. Just because of the sheer determination of Luttrell, American Sniper, and this is incredible. Yeah, you need to go read the book. Anyway, wanted to talk about a couple other things, and then we're gonna pop smoke, and then I'm gonna take the night off. Chris, it's the one I just showed. That's the video I wanted you to see. And you can take a look at it. It's, like I said, it's pretty fantastic. I'll put the link.
What do you want?
In chat here for y'all. There you go. And then you can obviously buy the book on Amazon. Give it a watch. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, it's probably one of the most moving acts of heroism you've ever seen. And that happens every day. And in a wartime situation where people don't get credit or the story never gets told. Yeah, man, it's a real moving story. In fact, I don't think there's really anything else I want to talk about tonight, because that, like, after talking to Chris and recapping that, I think that's good for me, to be honest. But talk real quick about Joe Biden and watching Marsha Blackburn. I think that's her name. You know, I already hit Joe on clearing out El Paso streets, and 4 days prior, Secret Service going in, removing people, arresting people, relocating them, to show the appearance of, you know, a kind of a benign element and a benign area that was purported to be, you know, a severe border crossing area, which it's not. I mean, Juarez, Mexico is right across from El Paso. It's got a huge aqueduct. It's got fencing that's plenty high. And it's one of the most volatile and deadly areas in the world. And it's fairly well protected. And Juarez does not cross over into El Paso, even close to what it used to. But even them cleaning it up and showing the appearance of it being a normal everyday city, you also have the situation where he's in a position that is not going to demonstrate what the CBP is going through. And he's not even in the most dangerous, porous area of the border. And his message is, well, it looks okay to me, you know, and that's the problem with Joe Biden. But the thing that really is feckless to me is I look at Donald Trump, who went into North Korea and crossed the DMZ and the demarcation line between South Korea and North Korea, where no U.S. president has ever stood before, and that took moxie. I want you to think about that, of how much, when it comes to bravery, and not only faith in the military, which completely nullifies all the idiots that said Donald Trump said disrespectful things about the military. Yes, I understand he went after McCain, and that was the left going ahead and trying to extenuate this and make him feel that he was against the military when he wasn't. Donald Trump did more for veterans, more for the military than any other president before him and probably after him. But the fact that he trusted the United States government enough to get him out of there, or the Secret Service, it's balls of brass. And then you have Joe Biden, who goes there in the light of day, in a place which has not seen a level of even equal footing compared to these other areas along the border, and then says all good, is very similar to a man hunting lycanthrope, werewolves, at 3:00 in the afternoon, when everyone knows that they are at their most lethal and potent at night and with a full moon. Joe Biden didn't show up at night. He showed up in the middle of the day. And Blackburn and the women who accompanied show more moxie, more strength of character, and more courage than the president of the United States, and went out there with the Border Patrol in the middle of the night to investigate and capture what was actually happening, so they could come back and tell stories of yore about what happened down south. And to me, it just makes Joe Biden that much more pathetic. And to me, it's the media should be lambasting him from top to bottom, but they won't. And this whole thing, about the Biden secret documents, they're already blowing it under. You know what they're saying? Oh, it was only a handful of documents. And of course, they said Donald Trump had 62. Actually, no, he had 19. We went through the inventory report and counted it. You and I did that together. So if you're simply saying that 10 documents versus 19 is what transfers the situation to being completely benign to one that's malignant and deserves the Espionage Act and subpoenas and raids, well, don't you think Biden, if that is that less of a severe of a crime, maybe just deserves a special prosecutor? Maybe not a nighttime raid, maybe not an armed raid, but maybe just a 3 o'clock in the afternoon raid. This is the hypocrisy from the left. And they can sit here and say, oh, well, the right does it too. Well, you know what? Let's take a look at who's had the House, who's had the Senate. Let's really take a deep dive at who has had the SCOTUS and owns SCOTUS for a better part of the last 70 years. And let's really dive into the truth here. That there is a level of hypocrisy from this media, and it started with the Hunter Biden thing. It started back with Burisma, and it started back with the prosecutorial head of state, who Joe Biden got fired for $1 billion. That he threatened him to hold that money, but nobody called that quid pro quo. Just the level of hypocrisy from his racism, from his hundreds of examples of rubbing shoulders with KKK, eulogizing KKK, saying things that are completely inappropriate at all times about African Americans, his slights on Muslims, his slights on the Indian population, the Hispanic population, and nobody says anything. Donald Trump says and is talking about MS-13 and bad people coming across the border, and they know what he was talking about and cut the soundbite to make it sound like he's talking about everybody. Where's the balance? If people are wondering why Republicans are so frustrated, this is why. It's the same reason when you called us deplorables and gun grabbers and Bible thumpers and uneducated flyover states and racists and Nazis and Trump tards and all these other things and insurrectionists. America may have some equal footing when it comes to political parties being vitriolic towards each other. But I'm telling you, man, Democrats and even liberals, not just Democrats, take the cake. And I usually define liberals and leftists and keep them kind of separate. But in this case, it's not just one party that is doing this. One party is doing this and one party's reacting to it. You don't see people putting things in place to quash leftist opinion. You don't see people shutting down leftist opinion. Go to Rumble, go to Getter. You can have, there's leftists on there all the time that are not getting suspended. You can find that voice if you want to hear it, but you couldn't find that on Twitter. I have a strike against me. I've had it against me now for 1 year. I thought it was going to drop off. It just hit 12 months. It's still on my account. Conservatives are being silenced because why? It's not that we're saying things that are untrue. We're saying things that are unpopular, and that's the problem. It shouldn't be about how many pieces of paper Joe Biden has. If he had one, then the Democrats should be popping investigations. The Department of Justice should be raiding Joe Biden's location at home now today and be going into Philly and going into Rehoboth and going in where he was a VP and raiding it. And he should be charged with obstruction of justice. Simply. Why? Well, because they waited. They knew about this since November 3rd. It's January 10th. They waited till after the speakership. They waited till after the midterms. And isn't that obstruction? From having information of a crime and holding and withholding it? I mean, if we're going to take this seriously, shouldn't we take it seriously? And honestly, I don't give a shit that Joe Biden did it. I don't care that Donald Trump did it. They're the president of the United States. If we can't trust him with top secret documents, then we're already foobarred. What I care about is the hypocrisy. And Leroy and I talked about this last night. The Vice President of the United States has access and has right to certain documents. But compartmentalized, TSI, and top secret, I will say the exact same thing. He does not have declassification powers. But he also doesn't have to worry about classified and secret. He has access to those. He has his own chief of staff. You guys need to know that. He has his own press secretary. He gets his own briefings from the DOD and DOJ every single day, just like Trump. It's not true. He has the right to have information, not TSI or not top secret. However, his briefings are not always in the White House. They're not always in a confined location. They can be at Camp David. They can be at private residences. As vice president, he is second in command to the president, inherent to all those rights. But what it really comes down to is that if you're going to make a stink about it when it comes to Donald Trump, and nobody should because it was much ado about nothing, you should make as big of a stink with Joe Biden. But here we are once again with the hypocrisy from the left. Yes, this helps Trump. That's the one thing, Karen. They've lost their ability. The longer they wait, they've lost their ability. And here's Biden's clever reaction to this. Real simple. Here it is. Oh, that's surprising. That's surprising. That's shocking. Sounds very much like Donald Trump, who said, this is unbeknownst to me. This is the guy that had 600-700 newspaper articles and clippings and photographs in all this documentation. Swag, coffee mugs, umbrellas, golf bags, along with it. Dude, they literally did a fire sale to get out of there and just boxed everything up and left. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it does help Trump, because how are you going to go ahead and hold a president of the United States accountable for something that you refuse to hold the vice president? This is where we're at. This is why they stopped attacking Trump's kids, because they knew that they weren't going to go after Hunter. This is the hypocrisy from the left. And this is it's so pathetic. And it's so tiresome. And every time I want to say, okay, the right did this and they shouldn't have, the left surpass it and continue to extend it past any point of recovery. Whether it's the border, whether it's oil production, whether it's $1.7 trillion stopping the border and giving 5 Islamic states $410 million to build border. It's constant hypocrisy. No, they didn't go into Jill's closet. Would you, if you were a guy? I can understand Melania, but Jill? Ugh. Granny panties. Yuck. You're right, Matt. Cheryl says they should be treated equally. It doesn't matter how many papers he had. If they're going to make a big deal than Trump, then they should do it with anyone else. And listen, I've said if Trump's guilty, then you charge him. I've said that in January 6th, no charges. I've said that with his taxes, no charges. That was a big nothing burger. Teflon Don is not Teflon. Everyone keeps calling him Teflon. He's not Teflon. They don't have anything. There's no there. And that's the problem. And when they say they finally have it, they don't have it. But the difference is Hillary Clinton obstructed justice, destroyed evidence, failed to listen to a cease and desist, broke every single Espionage Act law there is, including the provisions of her having a clearance and code word access, opened up a private server with hardly any security that every single country on the planet got a turn at, opened up kernels to multiple email addresses, to the DNC server and other vulnerabilities across Washington, D.C., destroyed evidence, did Benghazi and mucked it up at 3 a.m, testified flippantly about it, lied to the American public when she knew different. Proof of that, nothing happens. Look at Brennan, look at Tapper, look at Comey. Look at the FBI and going after Donald Trump, spying on his campaign, wiring on his campaign, putting people into his campaign, trying to subvert a sitting president and the Republican elector for president of the United States. And nothing to be done about it. This is why people are pissed off. And liberals can't and won't defend it because there's no defense on this. It is absolutely hypocritical. And that's why 71% of the people polled said if they would have known about the Hunter Biden laptop story, that it may have changed their mind or influenced their decision in voting for Joe Biden. That's no coincidence, folks. You don't think they had those polling numbers? You don't think that the Biden administration knew that? You don't think Obama knew that? That's the smoking gun right there. Just think about Joe Biden. Think about how he could sit on that border and talk about kids in cages, how he blamed Trump for that, and the whipping of illegal immigrants by the Border Patrol when they did no such thing. The fact that he has the moxie to show up, and yes, I know Republicans challenged him to go down there. A simple flyby after 47 years in office, literally a drive-by, 4 hours. And then mistaking a Salvation Army representative for Secret Service. I mean, did this guy, I just can't make this shit up. I can't make this shit up. Folks, we'll be here. We'll continue to cover stuff like this, keep talking about stuff like this. I appreciate everybody. I thank you guys for stopping by tonight. I wasn't supposed to be on, but I wanted to stop by. I wanted to say hello. It was a long day. I felt like I neglected you over the weekend. So I'll open up the phone number one more time. If anyone has anything, give me a call. If you don't, we're going to go ahead and Charlie Mike, move on. Glenn says, you can't. What can I do? Leave? No, I'm going to go. I'm going to go watch my Avalanche. I've missed too many games. They're starting to get healthy. So do me a favor, folks. Go over to don'tunfriendme.com. Pick yourself up a cool Let's Go Brandon shirt. Red Friday. I will have the new Schoolhouse Rock shirt here shortly. Go pick up some coffee from don'tunfriendme.com. We've got Minuteman coffee. It is amazing stuff. I recommend the Trader Joe. It is delicious. Go pick that up. And then also stop by my good friends, Percival Flag Company. I forgot to tell y'all, the site is no longer percivalflag.com. Go to pfcflags.com. We redid the entire site. In fact, I am going to show you what it looks like. I'm proud of it. A lot of work. I'm not going to lie. It took me forever and a day to get this thing completely dialed in. But this is it. It's got everything you want. You want to go ahead and find some lower price flags. You can come across. It'll show you everything. And go right into our series. The partners who work with us. See all the different types of flag, customer reviews, custom work. To see some of the things that Jason's done by custom is incredible. Kind of see some of his custom work that he's worked on. Great stuff. And yeah, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Go over there. Take a look. Remember, if you go right now and you pick up a small flag, this is probably one of the coolest things. You pick up a small flag, you actually can get a desktop flag for free. All you need is a small flag. Pretty simple. Or else you just come in here, you find one you like, and you say, okay, I like it. You're going to get a desktop flag, $60 value, absolutely free. It's not a bad deal. You come in here and you go, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Betsy Ross. I'm going to go ahead and choose a small. It's going to cost me $168 for that small. And the smalls aren't small, folks. These aren't tiny flags. And then you go ahead and get a desktop flag for free. Put it in the cart. You're good to go. Last but not least, if we come over here and go to About Us and go to Giving Back, you're going to see some cool things that Jay has done with some amazing foundations, him and his wife, Katie. They've done amazing things, pictures and stuff. So go take a look. It's a great program. pfcflags.com. They are our good friends. And go over there and pick yourself up a flag if you don't mind. Veteran Crisis Hotline, good way to go out. 1-800-273-8255. Press 1. 22 vets a day. I said Katie, Jason. Darn it. I always mention Katie. Folks, Katie does a whole lot of work, darn it. See if I can find a picture. Jason's to the left. Katie's to the right. And the youngster is down in the middle. I don't say her name because she's a kid, and I'm not going to do that, but she's awesome. My son thinks he's going to marry her. I haven't told Jason and Katie that, but that's where it's at. She's a handful, man. She's a fireball. She's a great kid. Anyway, stop on by. Go buy a flag. Go buy some coffee, whatever. I would appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful evening. 1-800-273-8255. Press 1, or you can press 988. Veteran Crisis Hotline is there for veterans. We've had a pretty interesting talk tonight, and I hope you all appreciated the story about Chapman and then also Chris calling in. Veterans are important. Traumatic brain injury, PTS, anxiety, depression are all very real. 22 veterans commit suicide a day. Please do me a favor, provide them this number. Veterans need a battle buddy and a swim buddy when they're in. They also need anybody right now. That anybody is you. All you got to do is provide a number and start that conversation. It's free of charge. It'll never be reported to the duty station. And last but not least, if they are a civilian, you can still call in. They're never going to turn anyone away who needs help. Would your flag people consider making a Canadian flag? Yes, Jason will make a Canadian flag. I can't show you the cool flag he made that is so neat, but yeah, he'll make a Canadian flag. Just, Mel, go on there and go to custom flags, send him an email, tell him what you want. He'll go ahead and give you a breakdown of what it is and how much it'll cost. Shipping is probably going to cost more than the flag, just FYI. All right, folks, good night. God bless. Thanks for being awesome. Go join the DUM Nation group if you haven't done that already. And thank you so much for being awesome. I'll see you tomorrow. Full new show recorded and a live show as well. See you mañana.